glasses off. Yes. Hello, everyone. Good morning, and a very, very beautiful day to all of you. Welcome back to Nipam Jain Show. I am Nipam Jain, and I empower and facilitate people all over the globe and help them change their reality. So, in the sequential series of Alchemize Your Pain, today I have with me Lisa Thomas. She's an inherited energy expert and intuitive life coach. She has helped thousands of people across the world to achieve their business and life goals, releasing inherited emotional DNA. She has been featured on numerous podcasts. She's an author of Mistakes into Money. And I mean, it's the list is really long. Over to you, Liza. What do you have for our listeners today?
Hi. Well,
Hi.
we're going to talk about money, I think, inherited patterns of money, right?
Okay.
Okay.
So when you
And
say inherited patterns of money, I mean, how do you inherit them? I mean,
yeah, well, let me talk about DNA first then.
yes.
Because we come to earth, each one of us, with our own DNA code that makes us 5 feet tall or 6 feet tall. And we can't change that DNA code. But how our DNA is expressed is what I'm working with, and that's in the epigenetics. It's a big word that means that many things that we experience in our life, like our beliefs around money, come through our lineage. We can have fears of spiders, right? We can have a fear of success, a fear of failure. And it's based on how our ancestors experience their life. And then that trauma gets handed down in the cells of our body.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we would like to know more. I mean, how even the fears, I mean, how it gets to our DNA, even the fear and the patterns of money. Can you just
Mm, yeah, like an ancestor could have, I'll give you a story, okay, about it. I was working with a woman who had a business, and she made good money, but she came to me because her employees didn't like her. Her employees wanted to quit. And the problem was is that she couldn't make a decision. So her employees were frustrated with her because they would bring her ideas and she couldn't decide. And this pattern of being indecisive was costing her business. And what I found was she had a relative who had owned a manufacturing plant. Now there was what I don't know if India went through the same thing as America, but it's called the Great Depression. And that's
okay?
where, right, during the Great Depression, people were hungry, okay? People didn't have jobs, people stole food. But her great great grandfather had a manufacturing plant and he was very financially abundant. He had a lot of money, but he had a gambling problem,
Okay.
and he gambled away the family fortune, including the manufacturing plant. So what got trapped in that and inherited energy was she was afraid that every decision she made, she was like gambling her life away. She was going to ruin it. And she had this fear of making a decision because she was a fear of making a mistake.
Okay.
And so that showed up in her inability to make a decision. And it showed up in the fact that she couldn't make more money. And so it was blocking her. That's an example.
Okay. Okay, so we inherit all these things from our ancestors. This really shows. So, how do you help people? I mean, can you share something that they can also transform themselves, or maybe they come to know, yeah, this is what they have inherited, and this has to be cleared, this has to be worked upon. How does one come to know about it?
Well, that's kind of complicated, right? Because we don't intuitively just know what we inherit.
Okay.
That's what I do, right? Is I'm going to find what they've inherited and release it. But I'm going to give you another example. um, we learn things through behavior. So we could have heard something about money at the table, right? At the kitchen table with the family, where maybe a sister or somebody asks for a new dress and the mother snaps or the father says, you already have enough dresses. You don't need a new dress. And so there's that feeling of unworthiness and not feeling important enough or whatever it is, right? It could be that you were told that money doesn't grow on trees. And so you always felt that you were lacking that,
Hmm.
right?
Yes, this is
Yeah,
we often hear while growing up, money doesn't grow and there's not enough, just spend carefully. These are the
that's
points which
right.
we always hear while we were growing up.
Yeah.
So, are these patterns? I mean, these are patterns which block us
Well,
achieving
they
our
do block
success?
us. They're not necessarily bad, right? Like you could also have the flip side where you overspend. Like there's
Okay,
people that can't hold on to their money and they're
okay,
constantly, spending it for things and stuff.
right,
So
right,
there's that balance. So the first thing to do is to become aware of how you feel around money,
okay,
aware if you have like sabotaging patterns that cause you, for example, maybe the people you work with too, we have,
mm-hmm.
we're both healers,
Yes,
that life starts to go well and then boom, something bad happens. Or maybe
yes,
they're looking for a new job and they get the job but then they don't follow up with the job. I mean, they get the interview and something comes up and they don't go to the interview. Those are
right,
right. So we have to be honest with ourselves. And if we blame the world and we blame everybody else for our life, then we're not showing up in authenticity, are we? No. So we have to look at ourselves and say, okay, what am I doing that I don't want to do anymore? And you have to
okay,
become aware of how you feel, aware of those patterns that are holding you back.
okay,
That
right,
helps, right? Because we
yes.
can't change something that we're not aware of.
Yes. So means these all patterns are there with us in our subconscious mind, and it's just being aware and taking help will really make us move forward in our life. Create the life
Yeah.
which we wish to create.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um, yes.
Yeah. So we would like to know more about your work, what you do, and if you can just tell my viewers about. I mean, you were just talking about some kind of meditation, some money meditation or
Yeah, I can
something.
tell you about it.
Yes.
So, these inherited things about money that either block our expansion of money, prevent it from coming in because we don't feel worthy, whatever it is, those are vibrational energies within our body. And it's nobody's fault. That's really what I want to say before I share about that is we inherit our gifts and our talents. We inherit those wonderful traits from our ancestors. And we didn't pass them down to our children on purpose, nor did our parents pass them down to on us on purpose. And I don't believe it has anything to do with bad karma. This is really just a structure of the human body and what makes us who we are. But the beautiful thing is, Napalm, is that we don't have to keep these. The things that
Yes.
aren't ours, that weren't our, like the fear of spiders, we can release the fear of spiders. That's an
Hmm.
inherited thing. If we have a phobia of bridges and heights, but this meditation that I want to gift your audience, it's called releasing inherited money um, blocks, I think, and releasing
Wow.
inherited money
And the
blocks.
moment I heard you saying that releasing money blocks through meditation, I was like, wow, this is something miraculous.
Well, I'm excited to share it with your audience. It's
Yes.
free, and I'm going to tell you how to listen to it. So you see how I have earbuds in,
Yes.
right? You need to have earbuds in. You can have a headset, you can have these, but I'm balancing the brain in
Okay.
addition to releasing vibrational energies. So have it plugged into your ears. It's
Okay.
long, it's 60 minutes long,
Okay. Okay.
but you do not need to sit there in like Zen mode. You don't need to do that. All
Okay.
right. there's a visualization in the beginning. Do the visualization, because I'm working with the brain. And when
Mm-hmm.
the subconscious is feels safe to change, then it will allow everything that I find to release. Then I
Okay.
go into a part where I'm like, what needs to be released to allow money to flow? And then I find the answer, okay, and I state it. When I get to that part in the meditation,
Mm-hmm.
your body is in releasing mode, and it's going to release these frequencies in the energy system to allow you to show up in the world differently. You'll be more confident, and it'll help you release the burdens that aren't yours.
Okay. That is right. That is amazing. So, how long you have been into this, and I mean, how have you've been working with people, and so how long, and
Very long time.
is there something you chose this? I mean, there was something which pushed you into this, or is there a story
Yeah.
behind? Can you just share about
There's
yourself a little
always
more?
a story, right? There's
Yes.
always a story of why we do this.
Yes.
I was born um, where I felt like a misfit. I was born where I can hear ancestors, I could see spirits. I They're called clair gifts, those spiritual gifts. But I was afraid because I didn't fit in. My friends didn't do that. My parents told me not to talk about it. And they were just trying to protect me. My mother understood who I was, but it still isn't normal, right? And and so I was raised really hiding who I was, trying to figure it out. So I suffered depression when my children were born. It's called postpartum depression. And I had to work through that. And then one thing, I had a terrible accident on a ATV, which is a four-wheeler that you ride on
Okay.
sand dunes.
Yes. Right.
Okay.
Yes.
And I could have died, but I didn't. And
Okay.
so it really caused me to go through that dark night of the soul to figure out, why am I even here? What is this that I'm supposed to do? And one thing led to another, and I started doing a lot of different things in trying to figure out who I was. Okay. And
Okay.
really what happened was people started coming to me for fears. All right. And they were just my friends. And one thing led to another. And I realized that my gifts were my blessing, because when I was releasing inherited stuff that I was finding, right, the ancestors would come, because when I released it from the client, it released it from them,
Okay.
right? And then I realized that it released from the parent, it released from the children that inherited it, because we don't all inherit the same thing. You
Yes.
can have 5 kids and one of them gets the fear of spiders, right? They're not all the same.
So,
But
what
it
is
was
the reason that, I mean, when you say that we all don't inherit, maybe if you have five
Mhm.
of them and only one of them would have it. So, is there a reason behind it,
No,
or
no,
it's just the way
it
it
just
is?
is. It's just the way it is.
Okay.
Yeah. But when you release it from one person, it releases it from everyone in the bloodline. And so me being a misfit and the pain, and I was bullied a lot when I was young. Anyway, it's who I am now. Nepal is not who I was then. But I had to go
Yes.
through that. I had to go through those trials, and I had to gain the wisdom and the confidence. And and then I created this modality that I do. So here's how my
Okay.
modality came about, is
Okay.
because I had always been taught that some people believed that my natural gifts were like of the adversary. They were not good. Okay.
Hmm.
And I know, and I had seen other people be tricked. And so I always wanted to trust the person's body. So I created a technique where, let's say grandpa comes to me and says, "Oh, you need to release abandonment." Okay,
Okay.
well, it's not that grandpa's wrong. But see, the subconscious keeps track of everything that lies within us, and it might not be what the priority is. And so, my gift is the icing on the cake, where I can be that bridge between ancestors. Okay, But
Wow.
I always honor the client's body, and the body gives me my answers. So that's how I've been able to use my gifts as like the
So
icing on
you
the cake.
fine tune yourself with the body
Yes.
of the client, and then whatever has to be released, you release it from there.
Yes,
Okay,
exactly.
wow, amazing. So, like using your intuitive power and whatever awareness you're getting it, and you just then fine tune yourself in their body, and then you
Yes.
release whatever techniques are there. That
Uh-huh.
is, and I totally agree to you that people are very skeptical when you inherit all these kind of gifts, and they said, "Oh, yeah,
Hmm.
this is not something which is right." So I can really understand that you would really had to go undergo a lot of things from the transition what you were
Yeah.
and today what you are. Okay, so I would like to, can you just tell us more about this inherited patterns which people have? And I mean, people are not that really aware about these ancestral patterns, and they say they are born with all these things and they have to live, and they really do not have that open to receive and understand these things.
Well, those types of people that are not open, Napam, would not be our client,
Okay.
right? Because we're not in the business of convincing people. That's not
Hmm.
our job. When people understand that they want to change and they want that change in a, then they find us, and they're open to it. But I want to give you another example that will help people pay attention in their life, and maybe they'll feel it'll click for them as to what we're talking about.
Right.
Have you ever known somebody who goes in and out of relationships? Okay, so let's say your best friend, right? She
Yeah.
keeps attracting the same type of men with a different face. That's an
Yes.
well, I call it the pattern of attracting emotionally unavailable people in their life,
Okay.
right? Now, I'll give you an example. A client comes to me, female, and she's on her third marriage, and she's feeling pretty bad about it. And it doesn't even dawn on her, okay, until I start picking things up in the lineage. Her mother had also been married 3 times, right? And
Okay.
then the grandmother had been married twice. So there was this pattern of attracting these type of people into their life. It's inherited. We can have
Okay.
an inherited pattern. Have you ever known mothers and daughters and family drama where they don't get along or they pick on each other kind of? Or I got a good one where the boy is the favorite and not the girls. Well,
Okay. Yeah, that's very obvious. That's very obvious in today's society.
yes, it is. But those can be learned behaviors, but they're mostly inherited, and then they get perpetrated in the lineage in our daily life.
Okay. And
Mm-hmm.
we take it as our own, like,
Uh-huh.
I
We
mean, we
do.
don't even realize that these are the inherited patterns. We think,
Yeah.
oh, it's me and I behave this way and I am this way, these are my
Yeah.
thought processes.
Yeah.
So how one can be more aware, I mean, move from unconsciousness to being consciousness and aware. Do you have something for our listeners out here?
How to be more aware? Yeah, I believe in stillness. I believe in meditation. Okay.
Okay.
I believe in quieting the mind to allow new thoughts to come in. Because if we're always scattered and if we're in overwhelm and we're stressed, then no new ideas can come into us, right?
Right.
And so my idea that I like to do, or my technique, something I like to do, is I like to get into a quiet spot, right, in meditation. But I imagine, Napalm, that I'm dropping from my head because I'm very brainy, okay? And I
Okay.
drop literally like I'm sliding, and I drop down as if I'm landing in the middle of my heart.
Wow.
And I pretend that my heart is a room and I'm
Okay.
standing in this room, okay?
Okay.
Maybe I'll land, if I'm sliding down there, I'll land in a lotus flower. Hold on, I need a drink.
Yeah, please.
Excuse me.
No, it's fine.
And then what I like to do is I like to ask questions,
Okay.
right? And I like to talk out loud because I believe we have guardian angels around us.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll ask my higher self or my guardian angel, what do I need to change to show up in the world more authentically? Or what do
Okay.
I need to let go of to
You
allow the right man in my life if I was single, right? But we
right.
have to be open to the answer, and we have to be open to the fact that we're not perfect. And we have to get out of the pattern of blaming other people for the way we are. Like, I'm talking about inherited patterns, but it's not their fault. We can't say, oh, I had this bad grandpa. We can't go
Yes.
there because
Because even
everything in our life is to show us something.
yes, and actually even they are the victim of their life. Even if they would be
Yes.
aware, they would have really treated their traumas or whatever the patterns
Yeah.
they were having. So yeah, it's that
Yeah.
blame game should never be there. The first
Oh,
most thing
no.
which I have learned is that blame game. No, take responsibility of whatever is happening in your life.
It's true.
So I want
Yeah.
to know a little more about the money blocks. I mean, how
Okay.
and what do you do it?
Yeah. Well, this freebie, that we're giving your audience
Yeah.
is going to help with that because it will release those vibrational energies so that they don't have those money blocks. It'll help get rid of that. Oh, there we go. I have a light now. And
Yeah.
and it will and you can listen to it more than once. I would recommend that. Give it a couple of days in between. They'll get directions with it. It's free. I mean, I'm excited to give
We
it.
are so
I
lucky
believe
that
that.
you're
Oh,
gifting us with this freebie. And viewers, if you really want to wish and avail this offer, please click the link below. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. See, I know that the universe is abundant. We create these stories and these rules as to why we can't have more, or why, and a lot of times we don't feel worthy of more, or there's actually, we might not feel safe having more, right? Some
Yes.
people that are wealthy, they feel they're afraid of people knowing that they're wealthy, so they try and hide it. There's so many things that come up around money, our deserving it, our fear of having it, fear of not being safe, people judging us for it, you know, and they're just limiting beliefs that
So
we can get rid of.
two, three patterns which you have found, like this is the common thing which you have found in each and every client of yours, and you feel that this
Scarcity.
scarcity. Oh
Scarcity.
yes, scarcity.
Yeah,
We how much ever we have, we still at the bottom line.
at
We
the bottom.
so why do we have the scarcity feeling? Is it there is something? Is it even inherited?
Oh, yeah, it is inherited. So think
Okay,
about it. Think about, like what I said about the Great Depression, when Americans didn't have food, right?
right.
Well, there's scarcity of food. We can also have, what about that ancestor that, you know, never got married? They never felt loved, or they're constantly cheated on by their spouse.
Hmm.
That's scarcity of love, scarcity of self, of being accepted, right? In
That's so
addition
deep.
to, right, or the scarcity of money can show up when there's been a lot of unemployment in the family. Yeah. And then what triggers that is bad things happening. Then there's that fear of more bad things happening. And then that creates an anxiety within us that we're not safe. And have you ever had a client? I have, that have, they wake up with anxiety in the morning. They don't even know why they have anxiety. They just live in anxiety.
Yeah. So it's all inherited,
Yeah.
and they're not even aware. How, and that's a sad reality that people. I mean, there is a need for change. That awareness, that consciousness has to come across people. And I'm
Yeah.
so glad that you're working towards it and you are changing people's reality. I mean, I would say she has a miracle touch, and she's the with that miracle touch, she's creating ease, joy, and success and money
Yes.
reality, changing the reality of people. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, Liza, for being here. It was
You're
our
welcome.
honor and pleasure. And thank you, all our
Likewise.
viewers. Thank you, all our viewers, to watching us. We
Mhm.
all will see you soon. Thank you so much.